On a chilly Halloween night in 2010, while most families in Martin, Ohio were indulging in the festive spirit, the Liske family faced an unimaginable horror. The small, tight-knit community would wake up the next morning to news that would send shockwaves through every household. The Liske family, residents of the quiet town of Martin, comprised of William Liske Sr., his wife Susan, and their 3 sons. Susan brought 2 sons, Devin and Derek, from her previous marriage, while William had 1 son, William B.J. Liske Jr. While the family presented a united front to the outside world, beneath the surface lay a complex web of relationships, particularly between B.J. and his stepmother, Susan. Their story, marked by love, tension, and tragedy, would soon captivate and haunt the community. As Halloween festivities took over the streets of Martin, children in costumes roamed from door to door, their laughter and excited chatter filling the air. Jack-o'-lanterns grinned from porches, and homes were adorned with cobwebs and spooky decorations. Amidst this backdrop of celebration, 16-year-old Devin returned home, having spent the previous night at his biological father's residence. Eager to dive into his video games and perhaps later join the Halloween revelry outside, Devin headed to his room, seemingly unaware of the unusual quiet that enveloped his home. The typical sounds of his family preparing for the evening's festivities were conspicuously absent. As the game progressed, a nagging feeling of unease began to grow within him. Deciding to check on his parents, he ventured into their room. The sight of them, covered with a red quilt, seemed almost in tune with the playful Halloween theme. Perhaps they were playing a prank, but repeated calls and gentle prods yielded no response. The festive atmosphere outside stood in stark contrast to the dawning realization inside the Liske home. Panicking, Devin fled the house, the joyous shouts of trick-or-treaters a jarring contrast to his own cries for help. He called his aunt, and soon the celebratory ambiance was pierced by the urgent wail of sirens, turning a day of merriment into one of profound sorrow for the community. The Liske residence had transformed into a chilling crime scene. As officers navigated the home, they were met with harrowing sights. The upstairs bedroom bore witness to the violent end of William and Susan, both having been shot multiple times at close proximity. The distressing scene was a heavy burden for young Devin to bear. The mystery deepened as officers moved to Derek's room downstairs. Behind the locked door, they discovered Derek in a heart-wrenching position, curled up facing the wall, his life taken by a brutal force. The subsequent autopsy confirmed the young boy had suffered a swift, violent death by blunt force trauma. Evidence painted a grim timeline of the events. Blood patterns hinted at a calculated approach by the perpetrator. The use of 2 distinct weapons led investigators to theorize that Derek's silent demise was orchestrated to ensure the parents remain undisturbed. The absence of shell casings indicated a meticulous effort to erase traces of the crime. With no signs of forced entry or theft, the motive remained elusive. A neighbor's account of hearing potential gunshots around dawn added another piece to the puzzle. The property itself held its own mysteries. A solitary muddy footprint on a dock suggested the possibility of discarded weapons in the nearby pond. Despite exhaustive efforts, including draining the pond, the suspected murder weapons remained elusive. Speculation ran rampant. Was this the work of someone familiar to the Liskes? A random act of violence? Or perhaps something more sinister tied to the dark allure of Halloween? Devin, still reeling from the shock, cooperated fully with the police. His account placed BJ, the troubled elder son, at the scene around the time of the murders. Devin's brief interaction with BJ, who seemed preoccupied with loading items into a truck, added another layer to the unfolding narrative. As the community grappled with grief and disbelief, the quest for answers intensified. In 2001, Susan and William Liske united their lives, bringing together their children in a blended family. Susan's sons, Devin and Derek, found in William a supportive father, forging bonds that often characterize such familial ties. However, the dynamics were more complex when it came to William's son, BJ. The relationship between BJ and his stepmother, Susan, was fraught with tension, casting a shadow over the family's quest for unity. William often found himself in the heart-wrenching position of mediating between his son and his wife, a testament to the challenges of blended families. BJ's struggles with mental health added another layer of complexity. The echoes of a past divorce and the challenges of integrating into a new family structure weighed heavily on him. This behavioral issue, exacerbated by lapses in medication and bouts of substance abuse, often brought the family into the spotlight of law enforcement. But in these turbulent waters, William remained BJ's anchor, tirelessly seeking avenues to help his son find stability. This led to BJ's enrollment in a halfway home, a step towards healing and recovery. Seeking a break from the challenges of daily life, William and BJ embarked on a bonding trip to the family cabin in Carroll County. This excursion, marked by hunting and shared moments, seemed to promise a fresh start. Their return on Halloween Eve was marked by camaraderie with neighbors and a few drinks. However, beneath the surface, concerns simmered. Whispers about BJ's alleged involvement in unsettling and violent incidents with local pets added to the family's worries. But William, ever the hopeful father, chose to see the potential in BJ. His unwavering belief in his son's better nature would, tragically, play a role in the events of that fateful night. Opting to let BJ rest at home rather than to return to the halfway house seemed a simple decision, but it would prove to have profound consequences for the Liske family. As the investigation into the Liske family tragedy deepened, all signs pointed towards one individual, BJ. His tumultuous relationship with his stepmother, Susan, was no secret to those acquainted with the family. Witnesses and officials alike attested to the escalated tension between the two, which had on multiple occasions taken a violent turn. Described by many as a troubled individual grappling with mental health challenges, BJ's behavior, especially when under the influence of alcohol, was unpredictable and often aggressive. His actions had become so concerning that he was no longer permitted to reside in his father's home. The police, acting on these leads, zeroed in on the family hunting cabin in Carroll County. It was here, amidst the quietude of the woods, that they found BJ. Emerging from the cabin, he was seen nonchalantly leaning against a porch post, cigarette in hand. The calm was shattered when Deputy Michael Baelish, weapon drawn, apprehended BJ, holding him until reinforcements arrived to secure the arrest. Carroll County Sheriff Dale Williams confirmed the discovery of incriminating evidence linking BJ to the heinous act. While the exact motive remained shrouded in mystery, BJ's extensive history of altercations and encounters with law enforcement painted a grim picture. The cabin, which held memories of the recent father-son hunting trip, now became the focal point of the investigation. A thorough search yielded critical evidence, a .22 caliber gun, and traces of blood in Williams' truck. Deputy Baelish of the Carroll County Sheriff's Office noted they were on the lookout for a blunt force object, likely a hammer and a small caliber gun. Their search at the Liske residence further solidified their suspicions when a bloodied hammer was discovered. Charged with the murders, BJ's clothing bore the irrefutable DNA evidence of his slain family members. In a poignant jailhouse conversation with his mother, when confronted about the crime, BJ's response was chilling yet telling. "I wasn't in my right mind," he admitted, before cutting the conversation short, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a community grappling with grief and disbelief. The serene town of Martin was deeply affected by the news of the Liske family murders. A palpable sense of sorrow and disbelief permeated the community, casting a somber shadow over its usually vibrant streets. Residents, regardless of their direct connection to the Liskes, felt a profound sense of loss. In the aftermath, spontaneous gatherings and vigils became common sights around town. Neighbors, friends, schoolmates, and even those unfamiliar with the Liskes came together, united in their grief. The glow of candles from these vigils became symbols of the town's collective mourning and solidarity. Many remembered the Liskes as a warm and friendly family, always ready with a smile or a kind word. The tragedy seemed out of place in Martin, a town known for its close-knit community and sense of safety. The overwhelming support was evident in the numerous gestures of sympathy, from bouquets of flowers left at the Liske home to special prayer sessions organized by local churches. The community, while shaken, leaned on one another, seeking healing and understanding amidst the pain. After the events that deeply affected the Martin community, BJ's trial was closely watched by many. In a move that alleviated the town from further distress, BJ entered a guilty plea. By doing so, he evaded the death penalty and, in 2011, received a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. However, in 2015, while serving his sentence at Ross Correctional Institution, William B.J. Liske was found dead. At 11:25 p.m. on March 31st, BJ's body was discovered in his cell. Evidence suggested he had taken his own life. The Liske family tragedy serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences untreated mental illness can have. It underscores the importance of early intervention, understanding, and support for those grappling with such challenges. As the years pass and other Halloweens come and go, the memory of that fateful night in 2010 lingers in the minds of the Martin community. It's a somber testament to the fragility of life and the urgent need for compassion and care in addressing mental health issues.